Dear brethren, good morning and welcome to our program entitled A Glance at the Word, which is broadcast live every Monday and every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. West Africa time, which is GMT +1. On Monday the 22nd of March, we clearly explained that the salvation of mankind to take place required the conjunction of two key elements, two very important elements, which are the blood of Jesus and the cross of Jesus. We said that it required the blood of Jesus to be on the cross of Jesus for us to be reconciled to God and receive the fullness of salvation. We clearly saw that the shedding of the blood alone was not or is not sufficient to bring salvation to mankind. And even the shedding of the blood of Jesus Christ before he was nailed on the cross was not sufficient to bring us the fullness of salvation. It was only after Jesus was crucified, that is, after the blood of Jesus was put on the cross of Jesus, that God granted us the fullness of salvation. That is when God granted the fullness of salvation to mankind. We also started trying to find out what mystery was lying behind that notion of the blood on the cross for the fullness of salvation to take place, for the fullness of the salvation of mankind. We saw how the very first shedding of blood reconciled man to himself, and how the second shedding of blood brought some level of reconciliation between man and God, yet none of these two sheddings of blood was able to bring salvation to mankind. Why? Because even though the blood was there, the second key element, which is the cross, was missing. Let's now read in the book of Exodus, chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12. We're going to read verses 22, 23, and then 13. Exodus chapter 12, verse 22, verse 23, and then verse 13. Okay, let's find it. Exodus chapter 12, verse 22. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of this house until morning. 23. For the Lord will pass through to strike the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts, the Lord will pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to strike you. And now verse 13. Now the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. Okay. The first image of the blood on the cross, we had it during the very first sacrifice of the Passover lamb in Egypt. It was the blood of a lamb without blemish. The blood of a lamb without any defect, to redeem men who are full of defects. And the blood was to be put on the doorposts and the lintels of the houses, thus drawing some kinds of crosses with that blood. See, when you put on the doorpost and you put on the lintel, it draws some kind of cross on it. And the blood was put on houses in the form of crosses to bring redemption and thus some level of salvation to all the occupants of those houses. In a way, this was already the image of the blood on the cross, meant to bring salvation, to bring the fullness of salvation to mankind. It was already the image of that. Let's move further. Now we're going to understand much better this image of the blood on the cross. Let's read in the book of Numbers chapter 1. Numbers chapter 1, verses 52 and 53. Numbers chapter 1, verses 52 and 53. The children of Israel shall pitch their tents, everyone by his own camp, everyone by his own standard, according to their armies. But the Levites shall camp around the tabernacle of the testimony, that there may be no wrath on the congregation of the children of Israel, and the Levites shall keep charge of the tabernacle of the testimony. The clearest image of the blood on the cross in the Old Testament is given us by the way that the children of Israel were encamping in the wilderness during the journey from Egypt to Canaan. Here we see that in the center of the encampment, there were the Levites all around the tabernacle of the testimony, or the tabernacle of the meeting. It's the same thing. And the rest of the people were to encamp according to the families, to the tribes, and at the very places that were allocated to them. Let's see in detail how the children of Israel were pitching their tents and how this could represent the blood on the cross. Let's read a very long passage, Numbers chapter 2, verses 1 to 31. Numbers chapter 2, verses 1 to 31. Let's read it. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, every one of the children of Israel shall camp by his own standard beside the emblems of his father's house. They shall camp some distance from the tabernacle of meeting. On the east side, toward the rising of the sun, those of the standard of the forces with Judah shall encamp according to their armies, and Nahshon the son of Amminadab shall be the leader of the children of Judah, and his army was numbered at 74,600. Those who camped next to him shall be the tribe of Issachar, and Nathaniel the son of Zuar shall be the leader of the children of Issachar, and his army was numbered at 54,400. Then comes the tribe of Zebulun, and Eliab the son of Helon shall be the leader of the children of Zebulun, and his army was numbered at 37,400. All who were numbered according to their armies of the forces with Judah, 186,400. These shall break camp first. And on the south side shall be the standard of the forces with Reuben according to their armies, and the leader of the children of Reuben shall be Elizur the son of Sheduo. And his army was numbered at 46,500. Those who camp next to him shall be the tribe of Simeon, and the leader of the children of Simeon shall be Shemiel the son of Zerubbabel. And his army was numbered at 59,300. Then comes the tribe of Gad, and the leader of the children of Gad shall be Eliasaph the son of Ruah. And his army was numbered at 45,650. All who were numbered according to their armies of the forces with Reuben, 151,450. They shall be the second to break camp. And so on up to verse 31. So why are we giving all these figures? It's very simple. Let's have a very close look at how the children of Israel were encamping in the wilderness. We see that in the middle of all the camps, there was the tabernacle of meeting, or the tabernacle of testimony. The tabernacle is where all the sacrifices were being offered every day, morning and evening. In other ways, that is where the blood of the sacrificed animals was being shed every morning and every evening, and that every day. So there was always blood there in the middle of all the camps of the children of Israel. Now, east of the tabernacle, we were in a row, because they were encamping in a row, as we read in the beginning of this passage. Even though we didn't read the whole passage, we're going to understand it very well. So, east of the tabernacle, in a row, there were the camps of Judah, of Issachar, and of Zebulun, with a total of 186,400 people. Now, south of the tabernacle were in a row the camps of Reuben, Simeon, and Gad, with a total of 151,450 people. If you can write down those figures, it will help. West of the tabernacle were in a row the camps of Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, with a total of 108,100 people. And north of the tabernacle were the camps of Dan, Asher, and Naphtali, with a total of 157,600 people. Now, if somebody were to stand somewhere at a high place on the east side of the encampment of the children of Israel, what would he see? He would clearly see the children of Israel encamping in the form of a cross, the form of a perfect cross. So on that cross, the longest beam of, or the leg of the cross, is made of the 186,400 people of the camp of Judah. So those who were encamping on the east. So that was the longest beam of the cross. That was the leg of the cross. And it was the longest. And the shortest beam or if you want, we can call it the head of the cross, is made of the 108,100 people of the camp of Ephraim. Those who were encamping on the west. So that is the head of the cross. So we have this head of the cross, which is short, with 108,100 people. And the longest beam, the leg of the cross, which is the camp of Judah, with 186,400 people. Now, the left arm of the cross is made of the 157,600 people of the camp of Dan, while the right arm is made of the 151,400 people of the camp of Reuben. So you see that this draws a very good cross. This is an image of the cross that is similar to the cross of Jesus, with a short head, a long leg, and two arms. Now, the junction of the vertical beam and the horizontal beam of this cross is where the tabernacle of meeting was. And remember what I told you, what I explained to you, that the tabernacle of meeting, the tabernacle of the testimony, is where the sacrifices of animals were being offered every day, every morning and every evening, which means that the blood was being shed on that junction between the vertical beam and the horizontal beam of the cross. So somebody who stood at a high place in the east would see exactly the blood on the cross. He would see the people of Israel, the children of Israel, encamping in the form of a cross, and in the middle, at the junction between the vertical beam and the horizontal beam of that cross, he would see the blood of the animals being offered. So this is the clearest image of the blood on the cross in the Old Testament. We can't explain clearly the consequences of this today because it will take much time. We will continue with this same teaching next Monday, and we will explain clearly all the implications of this blood on the cross while the children of Israel were journeying from Egypt to Canaan, why they were encamping in the form of that cross, and why the tabernacle was to be in the middle at the junction between the long beam, the long vertical beam, and the short horizontal beam. We will explain all this on Monday, and you will clearly see the consequences or the importance of that blood on the cross. And this will raise some curtain to let us understand at least part of the mystery of the blood on the cross. Dear brethren, let's call it a day. God bless you abundantly beyond all your expectations.